Tony DeWitt here. I'm a Missouri appellate attorney and I answer questions here on YouTube. One of the questions I get frequently when people learn that I'm a concealed weapons holder and carrier and that I carry routinely whenever I'm out of the house is, why do you carry a gun? What are you afraid of? Well, I'll answer that question in just a moment. There's a lovely story of an 80-year-old woman who was cruising down the Texas interstate at about 85 miles per hour. And a Texas Department of Public Safety trooper saw her, caught her on radar, flipped around, pulled her over. And when he walked up, he realized that she was just another grandmother in a hurry. But because he was a competent and professional trooper, he asked the lady, well, ma'am, you don't have any guns in there, do you? And she said, I sure do. He said, well, what do you have? Thinking perhaps that she had a .22 or something like that. She said, well, there's a .44 Magnum in the console and there's a .357 Magnum underneath my front seat. And he says, good grief, that's an awful lot of firepower. Who are you afraid of? And the little old lady said, nobody. Well, that's not exactly my answer to the question of why I carry a firearm, but it's a good answer. And the reason I think it's a good answer is because you shouldn't live in fear. You should always have the capacity to defend yourself from violent attack. Whether that violent attack comes from someone with a firearm or someone with a knife or a machete or anything, you should have the ability to defend yourself. We're given that right, or that right is recognized. We're actually given that right by God. That right is recognized under the Second Amendment to the Constitution. And as a result, I have my Florida concealed carry permit, and I carry routinely. But I don't carry because I'm scared. I carry because I'm prepared. I know that evil exists in this world. Several years ago, my wife and I were sitting at home in Florida, and we were getting ready to go to bed. It was 10 o'clock at night, when there was a person at the door. They rang the doorbell, and I walked up to the door, and there was a gentleman holding a pizza box, and he had on a ball cap, and it was pulled down low across his eyes, and he said, I've got your pizza. And I said, well, I didn't order a pizza. Well, it's for you. I said, I didn't order a pizza. He said, well, it's for this address. I said, we didn't order a pizza. We're getting ready to go to bed. And the gentleman said, well, it's already paid for. All you got to do is take it. Well, in my house, we practice what's called pants on, gun on. And that particular night, I had my SIG P320 in an appendix carry holster in front. And so instead of, I guess, talking to the guy and telling him to bug off, I pulled my shirt away so that he could see that I was armed. And immediately he dropped the pizza box and ran and yelled, gun. And suddenly 3 other people started running right behind him. That person, had I opened the door to get my supposedly free pizza, would have been part of a team of youths that were getting ready to home invade. And who knows what they would have done once they got in there. But recognizing that I was armed, they ran away. And as I have preached on here before, when someone is running away, you cannot engage in deadly force. Now, you're probably thinking, well, that's just a one-off thing. That kind of thing never really happens. But unfortunately, yes, it does. It happens a lot, and it's happening more frequently. Here's the really sad part about that. That happened in Walton County, Florida. Walton County, Florida is a pretty good-sized county, and law enforcement is provided there by the sheriff's office. They have an excellent sheriff's office. I have yet to meet a sheriff from Walton County that was not courteous, professional, and just a fine person all around. But that night, when we called 911 and reported this near home invasion, it took the sheriff's office 22 minutes to get to our home. Now, when someone is busting into your house or threatening you, 22 minutes is a really long time. And of course, by the time they reached our area, the people who had done that were long gone. They were never arrested. We did learn later on that they had tried the same thing several other places. Violence exists and evil exists. It is your job to protect yourself. When evil is outside your door and seconds count, the police are minutes away. That's not a dig on the police. That's just the reality of the situation. They can't be everywhere at once. But you can be, and you can be prepared to defend yourself. Now, that doesn't mean you have to use a gun. It doesn't mean you have to use a knife. It doesn't even mean you have to harm anyone. You can simply install deadbolt doors that are very, very difficult to get through. You can install an alarm system. You can install a camera system. All of those things are excellent ways to deter someone who is bent on causing you harm. But as many physical barriers as you can put up, someone can knock down. One gentleman was at home in his house when someone drove a car through his front room. They jumped out, shot him, and stole his car and drove off. Now, most people don't expect that kind of thing to happen. But had he recognized that that was a potential, I'm sure he would have probably taken better measures to protect his house, perhaps by putting planters or other things out in front of the windows and the doors, such that if someone did drive through, they would cause damage to their vehicle before they would ever get into the house. So that's my rationale. That's why I carry a pistol, and that's why I believe that anyone who wants to and who gets the training and understands that training should be allowed to do so. I'm not an advocate of someone carrying a pistol without having proper training, without understanding the basic rules of gun safety and marksmanship. But I do believe that we all have an obligation to protect our home and our family, simply because the world is not always a nice place. There are way too many examples of that being the case. If you have found this interesting or helpful or useful, I would appreciate it if you would strike the like button with your little finger and massage the subscribe icon so that you can become notified anytime we release a video here on this channel. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.